What's this? I thought Debunked was done. Well, when I opened up the video submission form and found this recent video titled Secrets the Roller Coaster Industry Doesn't Want You to Know, I knew I needed to take a look at this. Seeing as for the past 5 months I was part of the roller coaster industry, I figured I may have quite a lot to say. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video to find out about a free Cedar Point map giveaway, as well as join our Discord for video updates and much, much more. Let's get started.
Roller coasters are awesome and fun and completely horrifying. But just how safe are those wild rides that we'll happily spend hours standing in line for?
Very safe.
There are a few things the industry probably doesn't want you to know.
Okay, I'm part of the industry. Please do tell me what I don't want the public to know.
Here's why you may never want to get on a roller coaster ever again. It's worth noting that roller coaster related fatalities really aren't that common, but there have been reports of bizarre things happening inside the skulls of occasional riders. According to Science Direct, the most common neurological injuries suffered by roller coaster riders are subdural hematoma, which sounds vaguely unsettling, and cervical artery dissection, which are the kinds of things that make you never get on another roller coaster again ever.
So you're not even going to explain what these conditions are? Just use big scary words and think that's enough? It's like calling water dihydrogen monoxide just to scare people. Please, if you want to prove a point, you have to do more than just list a scary name for a condition.
The main thing to keep in mind is that roller coasters can exacerbate pre-existing conditions. In 2001, a woman died on the Goliath roller coaster at California's Six Flags Magic Mountain. According to the LA Times, the coroner concluded that she had a brain aneurysm, which is a bulging blood vessel that she was likely unaware of when she got on the ride, and the stress of the ride itself helped the aneurysm rupture. So basically, don't ride roller coasters if you have a brain aneurysm, which is something you may not know about unless you ride a roller coaster.
Exactly. Pre-existing conditions. Deaths caused by pre-existing conditions happen almost yearly at larger parks and have nothing to do with the safety of the ride or its operators. This is why the sign in front of every roller coaster warns oncoming riders that if they have a pre-existing condition that may worsen thanks to the stress the ride will put on their body, they should not ride. Some people choose not to listen to these warnings. Others are simply unaware they had the condition in the first place. If you are really that concerned that you may have one of these extremely rare conditions, simply visit a doctor before riding. Otherwise, enjoy your extremely safe ride.
Okay, so the whole brain aneurysm thing is kind of a wild card, but at least we know that federal regulations and safety rules will keep us from ever getting on a poorly maintained or inherently dangerous ride, right?
Nice job pulling a Final Destination 3 scene. If you want to see that full scene debunked, check out the video in the description.
Well, according to the Boston Globe, the entire amusement park industry is underregulated.
Yeah, and you know what's one of the most overregulated industries? The oil and gas industry, and that does not stop this. My point is that something having low amounts of federal oversight does not make it unsafe. This is especially true when it's financially beneficial for an industry to be safe, and with the roller coaster industry, this is the case.
There's no federal oversight, and each state has its own set of thrill ride safety laws. Cross the state line, and you're entering a whole different rodeo.
Thrill ride safety laws is a very broad term. The only thing states inspect is how rides are maintained. The way the rides are operated is completely up to the park and not inspected by the state, with a few exceptions.
Only portable amusement rides, the ones that are hastily assembled at your local fairgrounds once a year, are subject to federal regulation.
And we all know just how safe portable rides and their operators are. Our second ride, and that's it for today. This is based off of CARNIVAL.
Well, I'm really glad that this wasn't a pink car because it wouldn't have opened today.
No, the cars aren't safe. Cars aren't safe, but I see.
So that means the states are picking up the slack, right? Well, according to the IAAPA, as of 2018, 6 states had no theme park ride regulation in place at all.
Yeah, and did those states even have theme park rides?
At any level. A 2017 report by Safer Parks says 30 states lack, quote, comprehensive government oversight, and roughly 10 states punt the responsibility to county governments or private inspectors. Weirdly, Florida is pretty good about doing those safety inspections, but they exempt any theme park that has 1,000 or more employees. So Disney World, Universal Studios, and SeaWorld get to do their own safety inspections.
Okay, when was the last time you heard about an accident in Florida at one of these 3 larger parks? Now, when was the last time you heard about an accident at a smaller park in Florida that was subject to these state safety inspections? My point is, state inspections do not keep riders safe. It's the choice of the park themselves, and it is in their best interest financially to be safe.
Even though other parks in their state are subject to inspections by state-trained inspectors. So just in case you were thinking that the big parks are the safest places to go with the kids, well, that depends on how much you trust Disney and on how you define safe.
The big parks are for sure the safest, and it is in Disney's best interest to keep their parks safe, and they are.
Safety at big fixed location theme parks really depends on state regulations.
We just talked about this. No, it does not.
But maybe traveling carnivals are safer since they're subject to federal oversight, right? Come on, you didn't actually think that might be true, did you? Because we've all experienced that unsettling feeling of looking at a wacky roller coaster and thinking to ourselves, that thing looks like it's going to fly apart.
Okay, but that is not evidence. However, you are correct that portable rides are certainly less safe than fixed site ones. However, they are still very safe compared to most other leisure activities.
Unlike fixed-site roller coasters, the coasters and other rides at traveling carnivals are frequently disassembled and reassembled, which is scary if you spend too much time thinking about it. All it takes is a few loose bolts to send the whole thing careening across the midway. According to Thrillist, traveling carnivals are on the road 9 to 10 months of the year, and they might change locations weekly. But carnival operators will tell you that the assembly and disassembly process helps make the ride safer because it allows technicians to view every part of the ride and catch potential problems as they arise. On the other hand, carnival workers are overworked and underpaid.
You could argue that for just about every amusement ride-related job. This industry takes a lot of hard work. Good, well-trained employees will always be safe. Now, unfortunately, I know very little about traveling rides, so I will not be making much more comments on this section of the video.
And there is no routine inspection by federal investigators. They usually only step in after an accident has already happened, which isn't very helpful, frankly. So it doesn't seem to matter if you're at a carnival or an amusement park. No one can really guarantee your safety when you board that ride.
Is it supposed to stay upside down like this?
I don't think so.
Well, at least you can be sure that the guy strapping your kid into that crazy
Oh boy, I swear, this part is what infuriates me.
looking roller coaster has undergone rigorous training and is uniquely qualified to make sure everyone stays safe while on board, right? Well, get ready for some bad news.
From here on, it gets really scary.
The head of Cedar Point's Ride Operations Department told the AV Club that ride operators have to take a course before they're allowed to start working the individual rides. So that sounds awesome and super reassuring, except the course, she later revealed, only lasts about 2.5 hours.
Oh boy. He's talking about a very bad interview from 2014 with my manager. The course is created by International Ride Training and is called IROC, which stands for International Ride Operator Certification. Back in 2014, IROC was very new and not fully developed. Now it takes up to 5 hours to complete, and you have to pass a test before you are sent to any ride location. Once you pass IROC certification, you will be sent to your ride location and be trained in the basic positions your first day, with an experienced trainer shadowing you all day. Once this 2-day process is complete, you'll be able to operate the basic positions at your ride. If you want to work in controls, it will take a lot more time, a lot more training, and passing a whole nother test to do so. It's all quite overkill. Rides are in most cases very simple to operate and do not require all the training we receive. Six Flags uses their own system that is somewhat similar to IROC.
So the people who take your kid's life into their hands when they strap him or her into a machine that travels 80 miles an hour only have to undergo about 1.25% as much training as, say, a barber working in New York State.
Being a barber is a lot more difficult than being a ride operator. Ride operators must be safety conscious at all times, but it does not take a whole lot of training to push down and pull up on a lap bar and look to see if a ride area is clear.
But don't worry, they also have to spend some time training at the ride, and 8 to 10 hours being shadowed by an experienced ride operator before they're declared A-OK to run a giant dangerous piece of machinery full of vulnerable children and undiagnosed heart patients.
You say that as if the new ride op would be the only one at the ride. Lots of other way more experienced ride operators would also be at the ride, watching the new trainee and ensuring they are doing their job safely.
And it's not like people working low-paid jobs doing super redundant things don't take their job seriously or anything. Happy riding.
Okay, I take that one personally. Me and my crew and every crew at Cedar Point made safety the most important thing. Every cycle, every restraint was checked. No trains moved unless guests were safe. You don't have to be paid extremely well to take safety seriously. I loved my job and made sure no guest was ever unsafe. By saying that, all you're doing is perpetuating an incorrect stereotype that all ride operators are tired, drunk, young, and underpaid. But that's simply not the case. It's 2019, almost 2020. Do we need major news outlets like this one still perpetuating stereotypes?
Part of what makes thrill rides so appealing is that they subject us to forces we don't usually encounter while we're just walking around doing boring normal person things, or even when we're breaking traffic laws on a long straight freeway or winding mountain road.
Yeah, and doing that is significantly more dangerous than riding any ride.
As of 2016, the G-force record for a roller coaster was 6.3 Gs. Just for comparison, astronauts only experience about 3 Gs during a rocket launch. Although granted, those G-forces last a lot longer than they do on a typical roller coaster ride. A 2016 report compared acceleration-deceleration eye injury to shaken baby syndrome, and noted that doctors should consider roller coasters as a potential culprit whenever these types of injuries don't have any other explainable causes. In 2016, NBC says there were 30,900 emergency room visits for injuries caused by amusement park attractions.
That is very low. You have to remember that an amusement park is filled with dehydrated people in the hot sun. I'm sure a lot of those emergency room visits were no doubt caused by dehydration or heat exhaustion. Heck, I've seen it myself before I even worked at a park. Dehydration is so common. Also, someone simply tripping and falling down some stairs or stubbing their toe would be included in those numbers. People hurt by a ride's G-force would have long-term effects and would not be visiting an emergency room hours after their park visit.
In the industry's defense, though, it's not clear how many of those injuries happened on roller coasters versus, choking on a corn dog while riding the merry-go-round or something. So it might be more useful to just look at roller coaster deaths and then extrapolate from there just how dangerous thrill rides actually are. Between 2010 and 2017, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says there were 22 thrill ride fatalities.
Wow, what a low number considering the number of people that actually go to parks. Also, how many of those deaths were actually the fault of the ride?
Not all of them, though, were people getting killed on rides. Sometimes people get killed doing other things, like getting stuck while trying to retrieve a lost item. And the industry points out that 335 million people visit amusement parks every year, so the fatality rate is really very low. Those numbers, though, don't say how many people are actually riding.
Well, most people do go to an amusement park to ride at least a few rides, otherwise why would they go to the park?
Still, the International Association for Amusement Parks says your chances of sustaining a theme park injury serious enough to give you an overnight hospital stay is about 1 in 16 million, which is way, way better than your 1 in 700,000 chance of being struck by lightning in any given year. Not surprisingly, third-party investigators often dig up different figures than the theme park industry itself. According to CNN, the International Association for Amusement Parks, or IAAP, conducts its own annual safety survey on fixed-site amusement rides. The IAAP reported almost 30,000 fewer accidents in 2016, so either carnival rides are like 24 times more dangerous than fixed-site amusement rides and other attractions.
They probably are. Also, what are you even counting as accidents to even have 30,000 accidents in a year? Do simple ride stoppages and evacs count? If so, that's not an accident and was caused by the ride working as intended. If you don't count that, there's no way there were even 30,000 accidents in 2016.
Or the IAAP is seriously underreporting the number of injuries that happen at theme parks.
Oh, so we're counting injuries. Okay. So someone stubbing their toe or falling over in a ride station and scraping their knee is counted by CNN. Well, that's not really the International Associations for Amusement Parks and Attractions' fault. They were simply only counting the injuries that happened on the rides themselves, which is a very, very low number.
And let's not lose sight of the fact that not everyone seeks medical attention for an injury.
Regardless of if they seek medical attention, it is still reported to the park on an incident report. The guest does not have to seek medical attention for the injury to be documented.
And that theme park authorities almost certainly aren't made aware of every single accident that someone has on park grounds.
That's where you're wrong. At my park anyways, they made sure to document everything. If one of the thousands of employees sees it, it will be documented.
So both of those statistics are likely to understate the total number of accidents that happen on roller coasters and other park attractions. Those extreme modern roller coasters with their twists and drops and G-forces might seem scary, but no roller coaster gives you quite the same thrill as a 100-year-old wooden coaster.
Well, seeing as there's only a handful of operating 100-year-old roller coasters in the world, I guess you're right.
For one simple reason. High-tech roller coasters are high-tech, which provides at least the illusion of safety. A wooden roller coaster that was built 100 years ago is a wooden roller coaster that was built back in the days before seatbelt laws were a thing.
Okay, first off, all the wooden coasters you have shown here were built in the last 30 years. Also, what is a seatbelt law?
And when people used radioactive water to treat arthritis. Not all wooden roller coasters are old, though. According to the New York Times, some parks are installing brand new wooden roller coasters because wooden roller coasters have features you won't find in steel rail designs. They're slower so they can have tighter turns than steel roller coasters can. They're also temperamental and require more maintenance. A badly designed wooden roller coaster may be slow and dull on a cold day and fast and potentially dangerous on a hot day.
There is so much wrong here, I'm not even going to get into it, but I will say this. Temperature does affect a ride, but not enough to make it unsafe. Also, lots of steel coasters were designed poorly too.
Wooden coasters will sag over time, too, and humidity can loosen the bolts, making the ride feel shaky and rickety.
That's not what makes the ride feel this way. Also, that portion of the ride is constantly inspected by the park to ensure it is still in place and tight.
It's all good, though. Even a 100-year-old roller coaster.
100-year-old roller coaster? You're showing the 2-year-old Steel Vengeance.
Is safe provided it's well maintained. Skyline Attractions president Jeff Pike told Mental Floss, "It just takes more maintenance to make sure the wood and fasteners are in proper operating condition. And all theme parks, as we've learned, are well regulated and can totally be trusted to make those judgment calls."
Yes, they can be, as we just talked about.
A water slide is kind of like a roller coaster. It has the crazy turns, dips, and terrifying acceleration, only instead of locking harnesses, you're barreling untethered through a plastic tube. Fun. You probably thought water slides were the safer, watery version of a roller coaster.
Ha, no. Even as a kid, I could tell you a water slide was less safe than a roller coaster. I know very little about this segment of the industry, so I will limit my comments here. But knowing this guy's track record so far, take everything he says with a huge grain of salt.
But a roller coaster is pretty much the same for everyone riding it. And on a roller coaster, you're a passive participant. You just hang on to that safety bar and wait for it to end. Water slides are not so simple. For starters, people are unpredictable, and they can break rules and talk their way onto rides that they maybe shouldn't be on due to height or weight restrictions.
Exactly. People try the same thing at coasters. A good operator of a slide or ride would turn a person away or call security if need be.
Guys, slides for kids only. Size requirement.
Shut up, nerd! Maybe that's why NJ.com found in 2014 that water slides in that state were responsible for significantly more injuries than roller coasters. So do you have the physical prowess to handle that water slide? Will you be safe going down it? Maybe, probably. But make sure you fit any size restrictions for the ride and try not to do anything too crazy on your way down. Remember, your main goal in amusement park rides is to stay alive. Having fun comes second. Check out one of our newest videos.
Wow, what a mess that video was. I must say this has been one of the most enjoyable debunked videos to make simply because I've worked in the industry and the industry is a lot safer than videos like this give it credit for. I hope you found this video helpful. And now speaking of the roller coaster industry.
Well, except for the crazy dude with the weird eye, it ain't a bad trip.
So as many of you know, I worked at Cedar Point as a ride operator this summer. I also have been to quite a few parks, and because of that I have quite a few park maps. And I want to help you guys start your own map collection. And so I have 12 Cedar Point 2019 maps. 3 of them are haunt maps. And if you want one, all you'll have to do is fill out the form in the video description. Fill that out by November 16th. And you can have yourself your very own Cedar Point map. I will sign it if you want me to, and it will be sent to you. Thank you for watching this episode of Debunked, and I'll see you in the next video.